The hidden room. When I stumbled upon a secluded Airbnb listing deep in the countryside, the cozy, rustic charm of the place seemed like the perfect escape from city life. The house, nestled among towering trees and shrouded in fog, looked idyllic in the photos. I was eager for a weekend of peace and relaxation. Upon arrival, I was greeted by an eerie stillness. The house, though charming with its antique furnishings and crackling fireplace, felt unnervingly quiet. I shook off the odd feeling, attributing it to the isolation. That night, as I was unpacking, a cold draft swept through the room. It was coming from behind the old wardrobe. My curiosity got the better of me, and I moved the wardrobe aside to reveal a small, concealed door. Despite my reservations, I couldn't resist exploring. I turned on the flashlight app on my phone and slowly opened the door. The room beyond was shrouded in darkness, the air musty and stagnant. The beam of light revealed walls covered in disturbing scratch marks and crude, childlike drawings of grotesque figures and anguished faces. In the center of the room was a small, rusted bed with heavy restraints bolted to the frame. My heart raced as I stumbled backward, the oppressive atmosphere weighing heavily on me. Just then, I heard a faint, eerie giggling coming from the room. I slammed the door shut, shoving the wardrobe back into place. That night, every creak of the house, every rustle of the wind outside, seemed amplified. I lay in bed, paralyzed with fear, as whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of childlike voices. The sounds seemed to come from the hidden room, growing more frantic and desperate. At dawn, I was desperate to leave. I packed my bags hastily, my hands trembling. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, the whispers still echoing in my mind. The house was behind me, but the terror lingered, leaving me with a haunting question. Who or what had been trapped in that room? The uninvited guest. The remote Airbnb cabin promised solitude and tranquility, far from the distractions of everyday life. When I arrived, the cabin was as charming as the photos had promised, nestled among dense pine trees, with a crackling fire ready to welcome me. The host had left a note apologizing for their absence, but promised to return the following morning. I settled in, relishing the peace. The first night was uneventful, but the second night brought an unsettling turn. I woke to the sound of footsteps moving deliberately across the cabin's ceiling. My heart raced. There was no second floor. I listened, paralyzed with fear, as the footsteps grew louder, moving around the room, then down the walls. It was as if someone, or something, was pacing above me. Summoning my courage, I switched on the light, but the sounds stopped abruptly. I spent the rest of the night on edge, every creak of the cabin setting my nerves alight. Sleep eluded me, and the oppressive silence only made my fear grow. Every hour felt like an eternity as I lay awake, the sounds of the footsteps replaying in my mind. In the morning, the host arrived with a friendly smile, seemingly unaware of the previous night's disturbances. I recounted the sounds and their face drained of color. They revealed that the cabin had been built on the site of an old hunting lodge, where a man had gone mad. The man had walked on the ceiling, driven insane by something he'd encountered, until he died. Since then, no guest had stayed longer than a night. I fled the cabin, my skin crawling. The thought of that restless soul pacing the ceiling haunted me long after I left, and I vowed never to stay in such a remote place again.